Hi, my name is Lamia, and this is my final year project, IPD. So, in this presentation, I will briefly cover what my project is about and what are the aims and objectives of my project, and then I will go into discussing my stakeholders, showing you my diagrams, my functional non functional requirements, updated Gantt charts, as well as the overall project development process. So, Ice Rush is a 3D endless runner where players race through Antarctic inspired environments, collecting fish, avoiding enemies, and trying to survive as long as possible. The game has two modes. The main one is the endless runner, and the second one is the colony mode, where between runs, players can collect fish. The collected fish could be used to feed penguins and grow your colony. And then you can also complete missions and tasks while learning short facts about penguins and Antarctic wildlife to add an educational awareness element to the experience. For the aims of my project, I have two main purposes. One is to create an interesting endless runner with different types of power ups, different environment scenes, enemy AI, transitions, smooth player experience, and just so that players enjoy playing the game. And the second one is to add a subtle environmental awareness element about sustainability, climate change, and how penguins specifically are endangered and what challenges they face in the Antarctic. For my project stakeholders, my primary stakeholders are me, myself, who is the only project developer and project owner. Uh, I um, I have the highest level of influence over every stage of development, including planning, design, implementation, testing, and so on. And my decisions on scope, priorities, and quality directly shape the final outcome. And then the second primary stakeholder is my project supervisor, who is equally important as an academic stakeholder, providing continuous guidance, technical and methodological feedback, and regular progress direction to ensure that my project stays focused and fully aligned with the module expectations and assessment standards. For my secondary stakeholders, I have game testers and survey participants. Um, so, by testing the prototype and sharing structured feedback, they help me identify practical issues in my gameplay, my overall controls, my difficulty balance, and like the overall usability that may not be obvious during solid development when I develop it. So I need that second look at the game, and I need people to give me feedback in order for me to make improvements, and that is why game testers and survey participants are very important stakeholders for my project. And then this leads me to the questionnaire results. This leads us to my questionnaire results. Unfortunately, I will not be able to cover all the questions that I have added because I have a lot to cover on this presentation. But these two were the main questions that really helped me. So I carried out participant questionnaire, and these are the results I collected from players after testing. From these findings, I was able to identify the key mechanics that players look for in endless runners. As you can see, um, fast movement and speed was selected by 14 players out of 16 that took the questionnaire. And also, progression upgrades had a lot of votes too. So, I'm definitely going to focus on these aspects of the game. And for the second question, I asked which features are most likely to make you frustrated or quit, and most people said that slow player speed again. So here, fast movement speed was chosen as the most important mechanic, basically. And here, slow speed was voted by most of the players, which indicates that I really have to make sure that my player is not slow in the game to keep players interested. And then also repetitive visuals and audio was also selected by quite a lot of participants, which is why I will make sure that my game has different, it already has different sections, underwater and ice track sections, but I will really make sure that there are no repetitive visuals and the game stays interesting throughout the whole run, basically. And finally, for my tertiary stakeholders, I have environmental organizations like WWF. Um, so these are potential stakeholders that could also have a big influence on my project, even without a formal partnership. They are still relevant because my project includes climate and wildlife awareness content, so their perspective encourages accurate and responsible messaging so that, you know, I do my research and I portray what happens to penguins and what challenges they face and so on very clearly and accurately. Now, for my functional requirements, I have separated them into different sections, starting with this one, player controls and core gameplay. I have completed most of the requirements for this section. Then I have level generation, which includes terrain segments, procedural segment generation, and enemies, and I have also completed most of these. Then here I have collectibles and economy and progression, and also GUI and HUD. And I have completed about half of these as well. And whatever is in progress is left for a little bit later, a later stage in my project timeline. And then I also have profile, which lets the players create an account and then save their data. I haven't started any of these yet, including the colony mode and educational features with like missions and tasks, but I will be starting them shortly. And then for my non-functional requirements, I have a total list of 13, and I have so far completed 5 of them, and I still have a lot. So I still have a lot of my functional requirements to complete before I can actually get into the testing stage of my prototypes, in which I can mark most of my non-functional requirements as completed. But so far, most of them are still in progress. Okay, this is my system architecture diagram. It starts with the player input from keyboard and mouse, which goes into the core gameplay controller where core mechanics are handled, like movement, transitions between ice and water, and player health related logic. And then from there, control passes into run and level systems, which manage procedural terrain generation, enemies, and collectibles, and stuff like that. And then that goes into progression in game state, where score tracking, run outcomes, and overall progression is managed. And then finally, that goes to UI, so that the player can see the results, the score, the collected fish in real time, and then that feeds into the data persistent system, which saves everything, all the players' data, and stores it in the local storage on a JSON file. This is my use case diagram. As you can see, this is the player, and this is everything that the player is able to do in the game. Obviously, it's a little generalized, but you can log in, create an account, you can start the game. From there, you can choose to either play the colony mode or the endless runner mode, and then from there you can collect fish, or you can complete tasks, grow your colony, um, and then all of that saves your progress here. And yeah, you can also exit the game, use power-ups, and yeah. This is my user interface diagram. So I do have maybe 50% of my UI completed for my game, but I will be using this diagram specifically so that I don't forget anything. So this has starts with the lobby scene. As soon as you launch the game, it starts with the lobby scene where you can access your profile, see your fish bank, go into settings, um, start the game, go into the endless runner scene, and from there you can also there is also a pause menu which lets you resume the game, restart the game, or go back to the lobby. And also when the game is over, you have a game over screen that also lets you do all of these. And in the colony scene, you can feed penguins. There's going to be a lot more UI, obviously, but these are just the main ones. Mission board, back to the lobby, and for the profile screen, profile name, player name, sorry, best score, colony progress, and you can go back. And this is my enemy state machine. So I have two types of enemy AI, and they're basically the same but just a little bit different so far. I have only done the seal enemy, which is on the ice track, not underwater, and it follows this system. So as soon as the game starts, it goes to idle. It does not patrol, it's just idle, and then it looks for the player, and if the player is in attack range, it starts to attack. If the player dies, it's game over. If not, and the player gets away, then it looks if the player exits attack range, and then it goes back to idle. For my shark enemy AI, which will be underwater, it will also include the chase state, which basically does the same thing, checks if the player is in chase range, then starts to chase. If not, then goes back to idle or goes to the attack state. For my project lifecycle, I followed a mainly waterfall approach, moving through clear phases like research, design, development, testing, and final milestones. This gave me a structured timeline with fixed checkpoints, which helped me manage progress and stay aligned with my project deadlines. And mainly, my project lifecycle uses a waterfall structure, but because of my research and mainly my testing and evaluation phases, there are also some agile elements, because there are some loops where I have to develop, then test, and then fix bugs, and then test again. So that's why mainly it's waterfall structure with some iterative agile elements. This is my first Gantt chart that I created shortly before the PPRS. Basically, it was a very it was quite of a generalized version in the beginning when I submitted my PPRS, and then I made a more detailed version. But anyways, I still had a lot of things that I've changed since that has been done. This is my updated Gantt chart. As you can see, a lot of things changed, mainly the development phase where I thought, so before actually getting into any of the development, I thought that I would have most of these things done today, by today's submission. But in reality, this is what my actual Gantt chart turned out to be, and we are here right now, and everything behind this line is what I have done so far, and all of this is what I have left to do, and everything in green states what exactly I have completed. Okay, for my development progress, um, I have started by making the first scene, and then I followed a YouTube tutorial to make the procedural generation terrain code. As you can see, I've used very simple planes and just cubes. This was just like a testing phase where I was just testing the code and whether it works or not. And then once it started working, I moved on to creating my terrain. Here I was painting I was designing my ice track using different materials and shaders. And this is what it then looked like. And then I also started making the underwater section, and basically these terrain segments are now going to be replaced by these plane segments that I have created earlier. I'm still in the process of completing these prefabs completely, so that is why I have I have the procedural generation code working, but for it to work, I have to fully design and complete at least 5 different terrain segments, and then make them into prefabs, and from there they will just be continuously generating using the code that I already have. Here I added a few more details, and then I started adding the enemies, my first enemy types, enemy seals, and I also added fish collectibles. And then over here, I added a feature where the penguin jumps into water and out of water automatically. This was done so that the transitions between water and ice track and water sections feel seamless, and the player doesn't have to do anything about it. So, in order for it to work, I actually had to use AI to help me with my code, because initially when I wrote it, it had a lot of errors, it wouldn't work properly, and that's why I decided to use AI to help me fix my code and make it more, efficient. Then over here, I started preparing my colony scene where the penguin can go to his penguin group and feed them, grow the colony, also complete mission tasks, and a lot more. So for the actual terrain and the scene, I have downloaded an asset pack, which I had to use for my terrain generation over here. Sorry, terrain designing over here. And that package included a demo scene. And because creating this colony scene terrain wasn't my, you know, biggest priority, and that would take a lot of time, I decided to use the already made scene, and then I just tweaked it a little bit. I edited what I needed to have specifically for my game, and it turned out really well and it looks really nice. Um, and yes, and then also I have added some UI. So over here, this is a fish count, basic start game button, and for my score, I decided to use distance based score. And this is my lobby scene with the player profile, fish bank settings, and these two main buttons to play the normal endless runner game and visit the colony. These buttons work, but the player profile and settings are currently still in progress. Okay, and these are my citations. Here I've listed all of the assets that I've used in my game so far. This is the YouTube tutorial that I used for terrain generation, and this is the AI I used for, oh, sorry, I almost forgot. These I used AI to create these assets for my UI icons, and yeah, I have sourced it here. This is the AI that I used for my assets and to help me with my code. That's all. Thank you so much.